the Lord's form is a transcendental. So that is one aspect of Lord's transcendental form. And Lord's body is omnipotent. He has all potencies, within his body. Like our bodies have very limited potencies. Only eyes can see, only ears can hear, only tongue can taste. But that's not the case of Lord. In the case of Lord, he can see, he can taste, he can do anything from any part of his body. Angani yasya sakalendriya vritti mantri. Every part of his body can function all aspects of other parts. So that's why even the Lord is residing in spiritual world. He can understand our feelings, our prayers. He can hear. He can see our offering. Everything he can do. His senses have no limitation. Our eyes can see till certain distance. Our ears can hear certain decibels. Our skin can feel some temperatures. But that is not true with the Lord's body. His body is omnipotent. It can do all tasks and it has no limitation. So the Lord, because our eyes are material and we are not able to see spiritual things, so that same Lord, out of his mercy, appears in the form of deity. So the deity is made of material, certainly, but when pure devotees, they invite the Supreme Lord to reside in that element. So by the sweet will of his for his pure devotees, he accepts that material form and he resides there to accept the service from his devotees. And as soon as the Lord is installed by pure devotees, at once it functions as a spiritual. Like in material world also, when we have a paper and the currency also is paper. But what is the difference? This paper is not so valuable. Like, if you give 500 rupees note, you can purchase 5 bundles of papers. So what is the difference between this paper and that paper? And somebody can produce a fake counterfeit currency also. But that will not act potentially. So the paper gets potency by the government authorization. The governor of Central Bank of India, he authorizes that paper as a certain amount of money. So same way, the Lord's form, which may be material, but as soon as the pure devotee invites Lord, as per the scriptures, the form is manifested, then that form is capable to reciprocate with the devotees, their emotions, and they will get spiritual benefit by serving this form. So for Kali Yuga, the holy name, the Lord's name, in that name, the Lord appears. So by chanting the holy names of the Lord, his name and he is not different. So whenever pure devotees they call out his names, the Lord is present in that name. So the devotees, when pure devotees they call out the names of the Lord, they perceive his presence in their lives. So that way the holy name is given for us to receive the presence of the Lord, but we cannot serve the holy name by the way of archanam. In archanam, we can cook for the Lord, we can dress him, we can celebrate festivals. So we get a chance to engage our senses in the service of the Lord. So that's why the Lord appears in the form of a deity. And another quality of the Lord is he's the greatest of all. So the greatest Lord, he becomes great by taking care of all other people. Nityonityanam chetichitananam eko bhavanam yo vidudhatikam. So the Lord, he knows everyone and he is the one who is giving everyone shelter. So all living entities are dependent upon the Lord's mercy. So that's why he is the greatest of all. Even some people don't know him, still Lord is maintaining them. For devotees, they will not take shelter of anybody else other than the Supreme Lord. So for them, the Lord is always a shelter. And then what that Lord does, he mercifully supplies all living entities according to their desires. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajami. So as one approaches the Supreme Lord, the Lord reciprocates with them in the same proportion. And the next quality of Lord is he is self-sufficient. Whether he is a small baby or he is a grown-up Lord, in all the forms, Lord has a complete potency within him. He can kill Putna when he was very small, and he upholds the Govardhan hill when he was, teen. And for in Rasa dance, he expands himself to reciprocate with every gopi. So that way, the Lord is self-sufficient to reciprocate with his devotees. He doesn't get reduced. He doesn't get limited. So that way he can reciprocate with everyone. And Lord is very pure. So the example is given here is sun. Like sun can purify even a place which is contaminated by urine or stool or other things, but he will not get contaminated. He by his rays he can purify, but he will not get contaminated. So that way, no, Lord is always pure.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I
Yes,
ask a question, Prabhuji?
yes.
Prabhuji, in merciful supplies to living entities according to desires, could you just reframe in terms of, or recap in terms of, what is the qualification? Why is it said in proportion to qualification and desire?
Everybody may have big, big desires, but they also have to have qualification. You know? The qualification comes by our surrender to Supreme Lord. Like a poor person may desire to have a great wealth, but if he has not qualified, then he will not get that wealth. One has to qualify, then the qualification is one surrender.
Okay.
How much one surrenders, that much desires will be fulfilled. But just you have desire and no surrender, then it will not be fulfilled.
Fulfilled. Thank you, Prabhuji.
One has to qualify to fulfill his desire.
Krishna Prabhu, in one context, His Grace Radhesham Prabhuji told D and D, we should deserve and we should desire.
Yeah.
Both
So
we
this
should have both the D.
qualification is we deserve, and the desire is. And what we desire also, that is our qualification. Pure devotees, what they desire?
Love for Krishna.
Service of Krishna.
They desire na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. And materialistic people, you tell, then they will get shocked actually. Then they will think, what is there? If you are not desiring this, then what you are desiring? So how they get surprised actually by seeing our desires? Like when Prahlad Maharaj says, I am ready to go for hell for eternity. If Lord, you are going to liberate these people. So although they have qualification, but they don't desire material things. They give it up like a malavat. Like people pass stool in the morning, they never think about it. Like that, they give up the material desires. So we cannot estimate their qualification. So what kind of desires we are desiring, that shows our qualification. So pure devotees, आश्लिष्वा पादरतां पृष्ठुमां प्रदर्शनमां वर्मतुं करोतु यथा तथा वा विदधातुलं मत्प्राणनाथस्य सेवनम्. So they desire to serve the Lord at any cost. That is only their desire. They don't see what Krishna is reciprocating with them, but they always worry about their reciprocation with him. So they want to be best reciprocators with the Supreme Lord. And sometimes for pure devotees, like Nasim Dev, he asked Prahlad Maharaj, ask me boons, I will give you boons. But when it comes to gopis, Krishna says, I cannot fulfill your any desires. You people be happy with your own services. I have nothing to give you in return. So, what is the qualification of pure devotees? That Lord feels that he is incapable to award them back anything in return. He is telling them, please be satisfied with your own devotion. So that is something we should aspire for. We should not calculate Lord's mercy by our material advancement or the material prosperity. But we should understand Lord's mercy by our spiritual prosperity. What is spiritual prosperity? Namo kinchan vittaya nivritta gunavritte atmarama shantaya kaivalyapate nama. So devotees may be materially poverty stricken, but spiritually they are very wealthy. Their wealth is remembrance of Krishna. Their wealth is to chant the names of the Lord. So that is pure devotees, desires. They are not running behind the material things. So the value system of pure devotees and materialistic person is totally opposite. What we consider advancement, what we consider, the Lord's mercy, it may be a questionable in eyes of pure devotees. So that's why the more we associate with pure devotees, the more we can understand Supreme Lord. The way they perceive the Lord, the way they pray to the Lord, the way they reciprocate with the Lord, that is the ideal example for us to follow in their footsteps. That's why Lord Chaitanya, who is to feel, even to get, whenever he, even if a wooden doll touches him, he is to feel that he is getting contaminated. But he is ready to discuss the pastimes of gopis and all. So these subjects are transcendental for even renounced order people. Shukdev Goswami is speaking about this subject matter. So this subject is not a mundane lust. Rather, these subjects, when we hear, then our material lust will go up. So that is power of Krishna's pastimes with his devotees. But when we hear from wrong source, then it will act as a poison. A milk touched by the lips of a snake, then it becomes poisonous. Same way, these transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Lord with his devotees, when we hear from somebody who is not qualified, then our lusty desires will increase. But when we hear from a bona fide spiritual person, then at once our material desires will go. The highest class of renunciates, they relish the divine pastimes of Krishna and his devotees, like Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami. They have written so many scriptures on Krishna's pastime with his devotees. So that is a qualification and desire of pure devotees. So their desires are not of material world. They are desiring only to serve the Supreme Lord with the best of their abilities. And who cannot appreciate Supreme Lord? So the illustration is given in this verse is those who are fallen, forgetful, living entities, they will not understand the Lord. Those who are poorly informed and less intelligent, they will not able to understand the Lord. And those who are influenced by material nature, they cannot understand the Supreme Lord. So some verses to illustrate these points. So Prahlad Maharaj says, Matirni Krishne Parato Satova Mitho Vipadyat Graha Vratana Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamistram Punascharvita Charvana. These people cannot give their mind to Krishna. Why? Because their minds are completely engrossed with their families or their near and dear ones, and they have taken vow to please all these people except Supreme Lord. Because of this attitude, not to serve Krishna, but to serve others for his own glory, such a people are thrown into darkest regions of Tamishra, the hellish planets. So here he is telling in second verse, Nate virtu vidu sarthagatim Vishnu. So these people, they don't understand real benefit of their life, who is Supreme Lord Vishnu, but they are thinking the external things as a arthamanina. They are thinking external things as a real things. They are valuing the external things as a reality. So that way, these people are entering in blind. They are following a blind person is following another blind person. So they are going in a darkest well, which is covered by this material desires. And those people who follow such a people, then they will fall in a dark well. So such a people cannot be rescued. And in Gita, Lord tells, Avjananti mam mudha manushim tanumashita param bhavam vajanto mam bhutamesh. So Lord is telling here, the people who don't understand my supreme form, they think that me as an ordinary human being. Such a people cannot understand him. Like people want to do, rasa dance. They want to do garba dance. Because they will say Krishna did, so we are doing. But Krishna lifted Govardhan hill before that. So at least you lift a table with your little finger. So they are not ready to do that. For that time they think that, oh, that is that God can do. So then rasa dance also we should leave it to Krishna. No, they will take to themselves. So whatever is convenient to their sense gratification, they are ready to follow it. But devotees, they don't imitate Krishna, but they surrender to the instructions of Krishna. So we are not here to imitate Krishna's pastimes with the gopis and all. We are here to surrender to the instructions of Supreme Lord, which he has given in Bhagavad Gita. So that way, when we understand Krishna's supremacy, when we study first 9 cantos, they are pronounced to make us understandable the divine pastimes of the Supreme Lord. When we study the 9 cantos thoroughly, then when we come in 10th canto, we understand the Lord who is showing his dependency on his devotees. He is not an ordinary child. A Lord who is stealing butter from others' house, he is not an ordinary child. So to read 10th canto, one has to go to the first 9 cantos to understand the person who is acting like a normal materialistic person. His actions are not material, and neither he is a material. The way he is acting, it may appear as a mundane thing, but that's not a mundane. It's all divine, because the person who is acting, he is a divine, and the person who is acting with others, with whom he is acting, those people are also great divine people. So if somebody reads directly 10th canto, they will, they will think Lord as a lusty person, or he is just some ordinary child. But no, this Lord is origin of everything. That's why even Brahma Vimohan Lila, if Lord Brahma can get bewildered, then what to speak about the ordinary human beings? So the right way to understand the Lord is, we should understand him through his devotees. Who can, describe Supreme Lord much better than his devotees? So that's why by any mundane person, we should not try to understand, neither mundane way we should try to understand the Supreme Lord, because Lord is beyond, mundane understanding. So one has to understand from a bona fide source. Then only we can able to understand the reality of the Supreme Lord. If somebody is ignorant, for him the counterfeit note also is valuable, and the real note also is valuable, because he is not able to make any distinguish. He is not able to distinguish between the both notes. So unless until he doesn't read or hear the government, precautions which they have given, they have told the symptoms to understand the real note. If he remains ignorant, then he will think this note also same and that note also same. So that's why these all 9 cantos, they describe us that about whom we are going to speak. He is not an ordinary person. So that Lord, whom even demigods cannot understand, they also get bewildered. So that Lord can be understood only by surrendering to devotees of his. Through, the mouth of pure devotees, when we hear, then we can understand Supreme Lord. So Brahma ji prays, Jnane prayasamudapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukhuritam bhavadeya vartam sthane sthitam shrutigatam tanuvang manobhir ye prayasho ajitukostaistlokyam. The Lord who cannot be conquered within 3 words by anyone. By jnana, karma, by these processes, nobody can conquer the Supreme Lord who is unconquerable. But by only one way, we can conquer this Supreme Lord who is unconquerable. What is that way? Sthane sthita shrutikatam tanuvang manobhir. Jnane prayasamudapasya namante jivanti sanmukharitam bhavati ye varta. So when we hear from saintly people, so wherever we may be in any ashram or in any varna. It doesn't matter. If we give oral reception to the pastime narrated by his pure devotees, Sanmukhritam Bhavadi Vartam, who has to speak about him? His devotees. So there are many Bhagavad speakers are there who speak so eloquently that people cry in their classes. Tears flow from their eyes. But as soon as the Bhagavatam gets over, they go in home, they switch on TV, they drink cup of tea. So in Pandal, they were crying. If you will go there, we'll feel, I don't have that symptoms. But how long those symptoms last? Till the time they are in Pandal. Once they go out in their routine life, it has not touched to their any of their daily activities. So for us, our life is a transparent life. We don't act as a devotee in the form in assembly of devotees, and when we go in material world, we act like a materialistic. We carry Krishna in our office life, in our any life. We will not forget him. So that much deep this Krishna's qualities should go deep in our consciousness. So how they will go deep? If somebody's hands are bound, he cannot release other people, their hands also bound. So the people those are bound by Kama, Krodh, Moh, Mad, Matsar and all those things, they cannot help other people to reduce their Kama, Krodh, Mohs. So the pure devotees, they are beyond this Shadrupus. They have aligned themselves with the Supreme Lord. So they become a very transparent Vayamidi of transferring the purity and that attachment towards Krishna. So that qualities which devotees are carrying in their heart, when they give to us, then our hearts also change. So spirituality is not just intellectual, upliftment, but it is upliftment of our heart and our consciousness. There are many people got big degrees in Shad Sandarbhas, in Gita, in Bhagavad and all that. But those people are not ready to give up cigarettes, smoking or drinking tea or wine. They may have learned all Jiva Goswami's scriptures, they may have got double PhD and whatever it is, but their hearts are not transformed. Knowledge may be there with them, but the relations are not there with them. So they may speak also very profoundly, but it will not touch the hearts of people, because that philosophy has not changed their hearts only, and then what? They can have impact on others. So before Prabhupada, many people wrote Bhagavad Gita translations, but not a single person surrendered. But Prabhupada is such a transparent Vayamidi of Krishna's mercy. By his translations, by reading his books, people know what devotee has touched them, but just by reading Prabhupada books, people have become 1600s. So that's why if we don't want to understand, if we don't want to see Krishna as an ordinary human being, then we have to check from where we are gathering knowledge about the Supreme Lord. There are many people go to Dwarka, they all, actually, what is it? Archaeological department, they also go to Dwarka, but, they have their own concepts, they have their own interpretations to judge the Supreme Lord. But devotees' eyes, they are anointed with the flame. So there, when we hear from them, it transforms our hearts. So we should be very cautious. If we want to understand Krishna, then we should read pure devotees' books and we should hear from pure devotees. And when we hear from them, when we read from them, then whatever we speak, it will have impact on others. Because we are just acting like a postman. The message which Krishna has given, if we are sincere just to transmit to others, so that will create great impact on others' hearts. So in the 9.12, Lord tells, Mogha shamo karmano moghajnana vichetasa rakshirin masurim chaiva prakriti mohini shrita. So the people who have inimical or those who have demoniac natures, their intelligence is, very much contaminated, and they have become narrow-minded. Such a people cannot understand about Supreme Lord. So that is the thing. So in India, many people think they know Krishna because from childhood they are listening Krishna. So they think that we know Krishna. So sometimes the mode of goodness also becomes a bondage, where people think that I understand Sanskrit, I understand the language, I understand what Krishna is saying. But their understanding remains dry unless until they don't come in contact with pure devotees. Pure devotees, they carry something which comes in parampara. Otherwise, it is very difficult to realize. So pure devotees, they are representing Supreme Lord and his message without concocting anything from their mind. They are giving as it is to us, and by their kind mercy, they are putting that highest philosophy in an understandable manner for for a public, so that will benefit to everyone. So that's a quality which we should try to acquire. Otherwise, these are the qualities which will make us hard-hearted, and we will not able to understand Supreme Lord if we have such a qualities. A mundane education or even a scholarly education is not sufficient. So just by reading one's own, we cannot understand. There are certain things which are in hearts of pure devotees, which we can hear by surrendering to them, by serving them. So that is the way of understanding spirituality. Krishna has told in Gita also, Tadvadi pranipatena pariprashyana sevaya upadekshinte te jnaninas tattvadarshi. So when we hear from pure devotees, they have realized Supreme Lord. So before hearing from them, what we should do? We should surrender to them and we should serve them and we should inquire submissively and we should hear from them submissively. So when we follow this perfect process, then we can understand Krishna the way the pure devotees have understood. Otherwise, people just open any channel where there is a channel also there where the whole day spiritual talks are related. So people hear there from anybody and everywhere. So if the person is not pure devotee, then it will not have any impact in their practice or in their hearts. So that's why we should hear from a right source. So that way we can understand the Lord's qualities. Okay. So now we are moving to next section. Material and spiritual knowledge for approaching Supreme Lord. Text number 9 to 11. This is a section. अंधतम प्रविशन्ति ये विद्या उपासते ततो भूय युवते तमो यह विद्यायां रता. Those who engage in the culture of nascent activities shall enter into the darkest region of ignorance. Worse still are those engaged in the culture of so-called knowledge. Yes, somebody can read.
Shall I read from it?
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Perfect. This mantra offers a comparative study of Vidya and Avidya. Avidya or ignorance is undoubtedly dangerous, but Vidya or knowledge is even more dangerous when mistaken or misguided. This mantra of Sri Isopanisad is more applicable today than at any time in the past. Modern civilization has advanced considerably in the field of mass education, but the result is that people are more unhappy than ever before because of the stress placed on material advancement to the exclusion of the most important part of the life, the spiritual aspect. As far as Vidya is concerned, the first mantra has explained very clearly that the Supreme Lord is the proprietor of everything and that forgetfulness of this fact is ignorance. The more a man forgets this fact of life, the more he is in darkness. In view of this, a godless civilization directed towards the so-called advancement of education is more dangerous than a civilization in which the masses of people are less educated. Of the different classes of men, karmis, jnanis and yogis, the karmis are those who are engaged in the activities of sense gratification. In the modern civilization, 99% of the people, 99.9% of the people are engaged in the activities of sense gratification under the flags of industrialism, economic development, altruism, political activism, and so on. All these activities are more or less based on the satisfaction of the senses to the exclusion of the kind of God consciousness described in the first mantra. In the language of the Bhagavad Gita, people 7.1.15, people who are engaged in gross gratification are mudas, the asses. The ass is a symbol of stupidity. Those who simply engage in the profitless pursuit of sense gratification are worshipping avidya according to Sri Upanishad. And those who play the role of helping this sort of civilization in the name of educational advancement are actually doing more harm than those who are on the platform of gross sense gratification. The advancement of learning by a godless people is as dangerous as a valuable jewel on the hood of a cobra. A cobra decorated with a valuable jewel is more dangerous than one not decorated. In the Haribhakti Sudodaya 3.11.12, the advancement of education by a godless people is compared to decorations on a dead body. In India, as in many other countries, some people follow the custom of leading a procession with a decorated dead body for the pleasure of the lamenting relatives. In the same way, modern civilization is a patchwork of activities meant to cover the perpetual miseries of material existence. All such activities are aimed towards sense gratification, but above the senses is the mind, and above the mind is the intelligence, and above the intelligence is the soul. Thus, the aim of real education should be self-realization, realization of the spiritual values of the soul. Any education which does not lead to such realization must be considered avidya or nescience. And to culture such nescience means to go down to the darkest region of ignorance. According to the Bhagavad Gita, the 2.42 and 7.15, mistaken mundane educators are known as Veda Vadarata and Mayaya Partha Gnana. They may also be atheistic demons, the lowest of men. Those who are Veda Vadarata pose themselves as very learned in the Vedic literature, but unfortunately they are completely diverted from the purpose of the Vedas. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the purpose of the Vedas is to know the personality of Godhead. But these Vedavadarata men are not at all interested in the personality of Godhead. On the contrary, they are fascinated by such fruitive results as the attainment of heaven. As stated in Mantra 1, we should note that the personality of Godhead is the proprietor of everything, and that we must be satisfied with our allotted portions of the necessities of life. The purpose of all Vedic literature is to awaken this God consciousness in the forgetful living being. And this same purpose is presented in various ways in the different scriptures of the world for the understanding of a foolish mankind. Thus, the ultimate purpose of all religions is to bring one back to Godhead. But the Vedavatarata people, instead of realizing that the purpose of Vedas is to revive the forgetful soul's lost relationship with the personality of Godhead, take it for granted that such side issues as the attainment of heavenly pleasure for sense gratification, the lust for which causes these material bondage in the first place, are the ultimate end of the Vedas. Such people misguide others by misinterpreting the Vedic literature. Sometimes they even condemn the Puranas, which are authentic Vedic explanations for laymen. The Vedavadaratas give their own explanations of the Vedas, neglecting the authority of great teachers, acharyas. They also tend to raise some unscrupulous person from among themselves and present him as the leading exponent of Vedic knowledge. Such Vedavadaratas are especially condemned in this mantra by the very appropriate Sanskrit word Vidyaram Rasa. Vidyaram refers to the study of the Vedas because the Vedas are the origin of all knowledge. Vidya and Rasa means those engaged. Vidyayam Rasa means thus means those engaged in the study of the Vedas. The so-called students of the Vedas are condemned herein because they are ignorant of the actual purpose of the Vedas on account of their disobeying the acharyas. Such Vedavadaratas search out meanings in every word of the Vedas to suit their own purposes. They do not know the Vedic literature is a collection of extraordinary books that can be understood only through the chain of disciplic succession. One must approach a bona fide spiritual master in order to understand the transcendental message of the Vedas. That's the direction of the Mundaka Upanishad. These Vedavadarata people, however, have their own acharya who are not in the chain of transcendental succession. Thus, they progress into the darkest region of ignorance by misinterpreting the Vedic literature. They fall even further into ignorance than those who have no knowledge of the Vedas at all. The Mayaya Partha Gnana class of men are self-made gods. Such men think that they themselves are God and there is no need of worshipping any other God. They will agree to worship any ordinary man if he happens to be rich, but they will never worship the personality of Godhead. Such men, unable to recognize their own foolishness, never consider how it is that God can be entrapped by Maya, his own illusory energy. If God were even entrapped by Maya, Maya would be more powerful than God. Such men say that God is all powerful, but they do not consider that if he is all powerful, there is no possibility of his being overpowered by Maya. These self-made gods cannot answer all these questions very clearly. They are simply satisfied to have become God themselves. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
अंधत्तम प्रविशन्ति ये विद्यामुपासते ततो भूयेवं ते तमो एव विद्यायामृता. So the connection is somebody's mic is on. So now here fate is described of the people of 8th verse. So verse 9 to 11, how to culture real knowledge and remain away from the misscience. So in this verse the theme is worse than ignorance and materialist is the pseudo spiritualist who misled others with misguided knowledge. So it is better to be, somebody is a passive fool is better than an active fool. So somebody's ignorance, that is better than somebody who is in knowledge but uses knowledge for wrong purposes. Like, tribal people, they are in ignorance of from modern science. So if they start war, how much it will create trouble to others? They have arrows, they have bows, they have some simple things. So they may be ignorant of material science. But that ignorance is not harming so much. But there are scientists who are materials, they have made a glorious advancement in material science. But if the scientists, they are not using it for right thing, but they are using it for wrong thing, then that will cause more destruction than what a ignorant tribal person can do. These materially advanced people will create bombs, nuclear bombs that will destroy, much bigger way. So this is about now. Then when we see this, then we think that better people remain ignorant than being a foolishly learned person. And that we say. Okay, now we take it to spiritual realm. So in spiritual realm, people are ignorant, suppose, about Supreme Lord. they may not understand what scriptures are and other things. So okay, they will do something normal, sins, and they'll go to hell and they'll come back and all those things. So that avidya is okay. But somebody has a spiritual knowledge. He understands and interprets all Vedic conclusions. But if he is not in parampara, if he is not coming in a disciple succession, if he is a knowledgeable Vedavadarata on his own, and he is concluding his knowledge into impersonalism or monism or voidism, that knowledge is dangerous than a person who is ignorant about spirituality. So a person who is sleeping, to wake him up is very easy. But if somebody is pretending to sleep, then it's very difficult to wake him up. So the people who are spiritually ignorant, it is easy to make them enlightened. But people who are knowledgeable in a wrong spectrum of divinity, it's very difficult to them to bring them to on right path, because they think that we know, we understand, you don't teach us. But their conclusions are totally abstract. Their conclusions are totally, not devotional. Although they are learned, but that learning is taking them to, Mayavad concept of life, or they are concocting something on their own. They are thinking they are God, everybody is God, or whatever it is. So their spiritual understanding is making them offensive towards the Lord, which is so dangerous that they will remain perpetually, they will be in, Brahman or whatever. So that kind of avidya is very dangerous. Like when Krishna in Vrindavan forest, he was very hungry. He told his cowherd boys that go, the Brahmanas are doing yajna there. So ask them that, Krishna and Balram are hungry. Please give us some food. So when the boys went to ask them, they told the boys, our yajna is not finished. We cannot give food. Go back. So can you imagine? They are so learned, but they are not able to understand who is the conclusion of all yajnas. Who is that Vishnu? That Lord is asking the bhoga. It is their fortune to give it to them. But out of their such a greatly learned, they are so learned that they are not able to understand the Supreme. They can understand all factors of everything, but they are not able to understand the conclusion of all spiritual understanding. So that way, they did not give the Vishnu for whom pleasure they are making the yajna, that Lord is asking them, so they did not give. The Lord told to the boys, don't get disappointed. You go and ask the wives of these Brahmins. So those wives are not learned in any scriptural things, but they know the conclusion that Krishna should be satisfied. They immediately offered everything to the boys. not getting scared of their husbands. So that is real knowledge. So if you know all scriptural things, but you don't surrender to Krishna, then that knowledge is, you are not only surrendered to Krishna, but you are making Krishna as an impersonal, that he has no form, he has no legs, he has no head. So Prabhupada tells they are, killing the Supreme Lord. That is worst offense they are doing. Like when they speak that Lord has no head, Lord has no eyes, that means they're cutting the ears and all limbs of the body of the Lord. So those people are more dangerous than the people who are in ignorance. So such a people knowledge is what? Like there is a diamond, very beautiful diamond. Everybody likes that diamond. And when you go near to take the diamond, below that diamond there is a snake. So that snake is, when you try to touch that diamond, that snake will bite you. So these learned people have spiritual knowledge like a diamond, but their conclusions of impersonalism and monism and voidism, it's like a snake bites that will kill a person. And Prabhupada is quoting another example here, is that Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Shastram Japastapa Apranasya Dehasya Mandanam Lokaranjan. So devotion is a life of a devotee. That is our pran, to surrender to Krishna. If you remove that aspect, and you know all Shad Darshans, you know all Indian philosophies, foreign philosophies, whatever philosophies, that is just a decoration of dead body. There is no life in them. Although they have all scriptural knowledge, everything, they memorize 700 verses, but they are not living a verse within their life. They are not living a life of one word of a scripture. So that's why their knowledge is just like decoration of dead body. So body is a so if there is no knowledge to surrender to Krishna, the conclusion of knowledge is not surrender to Krishna, then that knowledge is just a burden. So Veda Vadarata, people are very scholar in all scriptures, but if their conclusion is not to surrender to Krishna, then that knowledge is just a decoration of dead body. So here the chart of that whole paragraphs: ignorance versus knowledge, avidya versus vidya. What is more dangerous, avidya or vidya? So-called vidya. So in terms of modern education, that modern civilization is advanced, but they are not neglecting spirituality. So what is real vidya? To understand that Krishna is proprietor of everything. What is real avidya? Forgetfulness of this fact. Example of avidya is godless civilization. 99% people are come in this category. So what are the categories of avidya? Gross self-gratification. People are just submerged in their bodily activities, working very hard morning to night. And then this is gross, ignorant people. Then there are spiritual ignorant people, Vedvadrata. And after that, third category is Maya Apruta Jnana. These are the people who are atheists, or those who make themselves as a god because they think I am the god. There is no god. I am that god. Or people accept anybody who has some power. They think him as a worshipable. And other category, they think God is in Maya. So Vedvadrata, this is the verse. Yamimam pushpitam vacha pravedante vipashita Vedvadrata partha nanya sthiti vadina कामात्मनं स्वर्गपरा जन्म फल प्रदाम क्रिया विशेष बहुलाम भोग ऐश्वर्यम गतिम प्रति. Read the translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. Hare Krishna.
So their conclusion is whatever suits them with the least surrender. Because if you bring God in the in your relation, then next question comes is surrender. As soon as you bring God, then comes surrender. If you remove God only, or you replace that God with yourself, then there is no surrender. And that is very easy for them to accept. Because why they get scared of surrender? Because in material life, the surrender is always exploitative. And because they have burned with this surrenderness in material world, they think that if I surrender to God, then that is also is going to give them suffering. That's why they don't want to surrender. They want to have impersonal form where there is no question of surrender, or you want to submerge with that impersonal and become one of it and just quit, or just become voidism. You finish it off only. The whole business of surrendering, you finish it off. No more surrender. I will not exist only. So there will be no surrender, nothing. So they will not able to relish the fact of surrender. But actually, the devotees, they enjoy surrender. Because whom we are surrendering, we don't understand him completely. What is his nature? How he deals with his surrender devotees. Krishna, if we surrender to him, he is such a malleable person. We cannot fathom his humility. His humility is beyond our perception. We cannot cross his humility. We may think I am very humble, but if you want to understand Krishna's humility, he is the reservoir of humility. That Lord is ready to drive the chariot of his friend that Lord who is ready to bring shoes of his father, that Lord is ready to get bind to a mortar from his mother, that Lord who dances for the gopis for a small piece of sandesh, that Lord who cries tears for his devotees' separation. Nobody can understand him other than his devotees. That's why devotees love him like anything. And he also loves them like anything. When Durvasa goes in Vaikuntha planet, he says that save me from Sudarshan. So he tells, no, I cannot save you. Aham bhakta paradhino. I am conquered by my devotees. They have captured me in their hearts. So they know nobody else other than him. And Krishna also doesn't know anybody else other than them. So that is a loving reciprocation. It's an epitome of their dependence. They are surrendering to each other. We cannot understand. Our surrender has some motives. We want something come back in return. And that's why we may show some symptoms of surrender. But that surrender evaporates when some difficult time comes. But Kunti says, let the calamities come in my life again and again. For me, the calamity is your separation. So they don't see calamities as a calamities. They don't go and tell Lords, I am in this problem, I am in that problem. Lord doesn't become their complaint box. But rather they tell the problems that I have Krishna with me. They become brave to pass any problem of their life. They don't get scared with the material problems. Their only problem is forgetting Krishna. Their only problem is not giving pleasure to Krishna. They always worry how much my life can give pleasure to Lord. They don't worry about their pleasures. So they make him as an object of their existence. With they throw their existence for Krishna's pleasure. So that a Vedvadartha person cannot do. He has his own conditioning. He wants to understand in a certain way. He wants that Lord should fit in his box of his understanding, and that way. And because God doesn't fit in that, then he says God is impersonal, or I am only God. That way he comes to the conclusion. They are not able to fathom process of surrender. That knocks them down when the topic of surrender comes. But we are very fortunate by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, and we are getting to understand that the greatest surrender to Krishna is we should live our life for his pleasure. And we should not expect anything in return. Mama janmani janmanishware bhavatad bhakti rahetu kitve. Lord, I don't want anything else other than service to you. My wealth is a position of servant. And Lord puts his servants on his head actually. When Indra was in difficulty, the demons attacked on him. So the nearest Lord was Vamandev, and he was in Sutala planet. So Indra goes to Vamandev and he tells that, come, help me. You are my younger brother. There are demons are attacking. You please come and help me. So Vamandev says, if you want me to fight with you, you go and take permission from Bali Maharaj, because I am his doorkeeper. So Indra goes to Bali Maharaj and he tells, please release Vamandev. Then Bali Maharaj says, who am I to release him? The Lord is, is Swarat, he can do anything. Then Indra tells to Bali Maharaj, but Lord is telling that I am bound by Bali Maharaj. I am his gatekeeper. I cannot come without his permission. Then Bali Maharaj into tears actually by hearing this. Sometimes Prabhupada also used to give himself to his devotees. If they make some rules, regulations, he also used to follow them. He never used to say that I am your spiritual master. So even such a spiritual master can listen to his disciples. Whatever they can make, they used to make something. So this is, so surrender is not a exploitation. Spiritual surrender is not an exploitation. In material world, everything is exploitation only. The boss thinks that he has people below him, he will exploit them. But the people who are below him, they want to offer least and want to get more from him. So they have competition of exploitation. They have no service attitude. If you don't pay him, if tomorrow a person stops giving salary, nobody will go to office because they love to serve that man. So that is as long as they are getting their things, till that time only they will surrender to that person, or they will show as they are surrendering. But in Krishna consciousness, it's not like that. Rakho bhi maro bhi jo ichha tuar, tua pada arpila. So devotee tells that Krishna, whether you want to save me, save me. Whether you want to kill me, you kill me. But I will not look at anything else other than your surrender. Like a chataka bird, it drinks only Swati Nakshatra rains. It may die out of thirst, but it will not drink gutter water. No, it will drink only the Swati Nakshatra rain drops. So like that, devotees are chataka birds. They will take only shelter of Krishna. Nobody else. They will not surrender to any other person. So that surrender we should learn by surrendering to his pure devotees. They will not exploit us. So none of the representatives of Lord will exploit anybody. That's why people, when they see spiritualists are exploiting, they lose faith in Krishna, in God. Because people are misrepresenting Lord and they are creating such a exploitative behaviors. They are bringing bad name to the Lord. But real devotees, by their examples, we can understand Supreme Lord. So Vedvadarata or any spiritualist you take, those who are not connected with the Supreme Lord, they all are misleading, and they will create faithlessness in the innocent people's hearts. They will get carried away by lust or money or woman or whatever it is. So they will not last long in the path of spirituality, so-called path of their spirituality. But those who are really made Krishna as their life, they cannot be allured even by Maya personified. So example is Haridas Thakur. Maya personally came dead at night. She is alluring him, but he did not got carried away. Rather, he turned a prostitute into devotee. That is the power of a devotee who was surrendered. When we associate with such a devotees, those who are surrendered to Krishna, we feel so safe, Such a devotee's association gives us strength. Such a devotee's association gives us spiritual energy. Because they are surrendered to Krishna, so their association is really a warmth for practitioner. So that is a responsibility of a devotee to understand the real essence of scriptures. If somebody doesn't come to these conclusions that Jivra Swarupa Krishna Nityadas, then his Vidya also avidya. It has no meaning. So now we go to mantra number 10. Annadevahu Vidyaya Nyadahur Avidyaya iti Shushma Dhiranam Enastva Vichachakshire. The wise have explained that one result is derived from the culture of knowledge and that a different result is obtained from the culture of nescience. Yes. Read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, if I could read.
Yes.
As advised in chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita, one should culture knowledge in the following way. One should become a perfect gentleman and learn to give proper respect to others. One should not pose himself as a religionist simply for the names and fame. One should not become a source of anxiety to others by the action of his body, by the thoughts of his mind, or by his words. One should learn forbearance even in the face of provocation from others. One should learn to avoid duplicity in his dealings with others. One should search out a bona fide spiritual master who can lead him gradually to the stage of spiritual realization, and one must submit himself to such a spiritual master, render him service, and ask relevant questions. In order to approach the platform of self-realization, one must follow the regulative principles enjoined in the revealed scriptures. One must be fixed in the tenets of the revealed scriptures. One should completely refrain from practices which are detrimental to the interest of self-realization. One should not accept more than he requires for their maintenance of their body. One should not falsely identify himself with the gross material body, nor should one consider those who are related to his body to be his own. One should always remember that as long as he has a material body, he must face the miseries of repeated birth, old age, disease, and death. There is no use of making plans to get rid of these miseries in their material body. The best course is to find out the means by which one may regain his spiritual identity. One should not be attached to more than the necessities of life required for spiritual advancement. One should not be more attached to wife, children, and home than the revealed scriptures ordain. One should not be happy or distressed over desirables and undesirables, knowing that such feelings are just created by the mind. One should become an unalloyed devotee of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and serve him with rapt attention. One should develop a liking for residence in a secluded place with a calm and quiet atmosphere favorable for spiritual culture, and one should avoid congested places where non-devotees congregate. One should become a scientist or philosopher and conduct research into spiritual knowledge, recognizing that spiritual knowledge is permanent, whereas material knowledge ends with the death of the body. These 18 items combine to form a gradual process by which real knowledge can be developed. Except for these, all other methods are considered to be in category of nescience. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakura, a great acharya, maintained that all forms of material knowledge are merely external features of the illusionary energy, and that by culturing them, one becomes no better than an ass. This same principle is found here in Sri Isopanisad. By advancement of material knowledge, modern man is simply being converted into an ass. Some materialistic politicians in spiritual guise decry the present system of civilization as satanic, but unfortunately they do not care about the culture of real knowledge as it is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Thus, they cannot change the satanic situation. In the modern society, even a boy thinks himself self-sufficient and pays no respect to elderly men. Due to the wrong type of education being imparted in our universities, boys all over the world are giving their elders headaches. Thus, Sri Isopanisad very strongly warns that the culture of nescience is different from that of knowledge. The universities are, so to speak, centers of nescience only. Consequently, scientists are busy discovering lethal weapons to wipe out the existence of other countries. University students today are not given instructions in the regulative principles of brahmacharya, celibate student life, nor do they have any faith in scriptural injunctions. Religious principles are taught for the sake of name and fame only, and not for the sake of practical action. Thus, there is animosity not only in the social and political fields, but in the fields of religion as well. Nationalism has developed in different parts of the world due to cultivation of nescience by the general people. No one considers that this tiny earth is just a lump of matter floating in immeasurable space along with many other lumps. In comparison to the vastness of space, these material lumps are like dust particles in the air. Because God has kindly made these lumps of matter complete in themselves, they are perfectly equipped with all the necessity of floating in space. The drivers of our spaceship may be very proud of their achievements, but they do not consider the supreme driver of these greater, more gigantic spaceships called planets. There are innumerable suns and innumerable planetary systems also. As infinitesimal parts and parcels of Supreme Lord, we small creatures are trying to dominate these unlimited planets. Thus, we take repeated births and deaths, and generally frustrated by old age and disease. The span of human life is scheduled for about 100 years, although it is gradually decreasing to 20 or 30 years. Thanks to the culture of nescience, befooled men have created their own nations within this planet in order to grasp sense enjoyment more effectively for these few years. Such foolish people draw up various plans to render national demarcations perfectly, a task that is totally impossible. Yet, for this purpose, each and every nation has become a source of anxiety for others. More than 50% of a nation's energy is devoted to defense measures and thus spoiled. No one cares for cultivation of real knowledge, yet people are falsely proud of being achieved advance in both material and spiritual knowledge. Sri Isopanisad warns us of this faulty type of education, and the Bhagavad Gita gives instructions as to the development of real knowledge. This mantra states that the instructions of Vidya, knowledge, must be acquired from a dhira. A dhira is one who is not disturbed by material illusions. No one can be undisturbed unless he is perfectly spiritually realized, at which time one neither hankers nor laments for anything. A dhira realizes that the material body and mind he has acquired by chance through material association are but foreign elements. Therefore, he simply makes the best use of a bad bargain. The material body and mind are bad bargains for the spiritual living entity. The living entity has actual functions in the living spiritual world, but this material world is dead. As long as the living spiritual sparks manipulate the dead lumps of matter, the dead world appears to be a living world. Actually, it is the living souls, the parts and parcels of the Supreme Living Being, who moved the world. The Dhiras have come to know all these facts by hearing them from superior authorities and have realized this knowledge by following the regulative principles. To follow the regulative principles, one must take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. The transcendental message and regulative principles come down from the spiritual master to the disciple. Such knowledge does not come in a hazardous way of nascent education. One can become a Dhira only by submissively hearing from a bona fide spiritual master. Arjuna, for example, became a Dhira by submissively hearing from Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead himself. Thus, the perfect disciple must be like Arjuna, and the spiritual master must be as good as the Lord himself. This is the process of learning Vidya, knowledge, from a Dhira, the undisturbed. An Adhira, one who has not undergone the training of a Dhira, cannot be an instructive leader. Modern politicians who pose themselves as Dhiras are actually Adhiras, and one cannot expect perfect knowledge from them. They are simply busy seeing to their own remuneration in dollars and cents. How then can they lead the mass of people to the right path of self-realization? Thus, one must hear submissively from a Dhira in order to attain actual education. Hare Krishna.
So, in this verse, what is avidya, what is a vidya, and what is the right way to get the vidya, that has been discussed. So here, Prabhupada defines vidya in terms of Krishna's definition. What Krishna has defined vidya. So Lord in Bhagavad Gita, he tells these 18 items are called as a vidya. And then he says, then Lord says, besides these, whatever there may be, is ignorance. So Supreme Lord has defined what is vidya, what is avidya. So vidya begins with humility. Vidya vinayena sampat. If somebody is not humble, then he is not a knowledgeable person. But often people, those who are knowledgeable, they become proud. So in material circle, that's true. So the avidya, the more you have, the more proud you will be. But in spiritual life, it's exactly opposite. The more one understands, the more he becomes humble. If there is no humility taking place within our hearts, then we should understand that we are not on right track of knowledge. If we are becoming proud, if we are becoming, independent, we are becoming, offensive, then we are not on the path of Vidya. So these are 18 items. I will take one by one. Which screen you are looking at, Miss?
Prabhuji, we are still seeing the Veda-based screen, Prabhuji.
Okay, Vedabhasti. Oh. So the first thing is one should become perfect gentleman and learn to give proper respect to others. So this is a method of learning. So in Vedic times, people used to go to Gurukul. Brahmachari Gurukule Vasantantu Gurutam Acharan Dasan nature. Guru Surudya Saurudya. So whether he is a king's son or whether he is a very poor Brahmana's son, they all used to go to Guru's house, and there is they used to do menial services, and then they used to learn from him. Nowadays, a guru comes in the student's home to teach the student. That is called home tuition, where teacher comes in the house of the boy, and he teaches the children. Children have no respect for the teachers, and teachers also have no qualifications. They are smokers, they are drunkards. What is the qualification of any scientist? You compare to saintly people and scientists. What is the gulf of difference between them and the saintly? Saintly people have renounced all sense gratification. They are not behind anything of this worldly enjoyments. Such a people are speaking, they are getting crucified or they are getting tortured. So such a people will try to cheat others? No. And that truth which they have spoken is consistent. Like in India, the languages are so many different languages. But in Tamil, what they have glorified Krishna. In Odia, what Jayadeva Goswami has glorified Krishna. In Maharashtra, what Tukaram Maharaj has glorified Krishna. Or in North, Surdas has glorified Krishna, or any devotee of the Lord. You see, all of them are glorifying, and their essence and everything is same. None of their glorification has any differences. So there is gulf of difference of language, gulf of difference of culture, everything, but still their message is same. There is no change in it. And what they prayed, contemporary acharyas or down the line till Brahma, you see all those teachers are teaching same thing. But in modern science, they call it research or advancement or whatever it is. But generations, they believe something as a ultimate truth, and they die with that understanding. With that kind of conclusion, they die. Practically, and later on some new theory comes and they declare that old theory was bogus. But all the previous generation, they died with that faith, thinking that is what they are understood rightly. Then what is the guarantee of current people who will die after some time, and again what they are thinking the highest truth now, will that not change after 100 years? So the modern science, its base is shaking, its base is not real. So whatever you jump or whatever you advance, it's all is going to change. But spirituality, the base is Krishna, who is unchanging. That science is consistent for eternity. So to acquire that knowledge, one has to begin with humility. And second is no pridelessness. One should not have any pride. Yogis, Jnanis, they sit under one tree, or in a hot summer, they will put fire around them and they will sit in it. And winter season they will go, ice water in, Ganga or Gangotri. They'll submerge themselves in it. But they can give torture to their bodies, but there is no surrender is demanded. So they are okay with these tortures, but they want to keep their ego intact. They will bend their body, they will melt their bodies, whatever they want to do with the body they will do, but ego will not be touched. It will remain as it is. But spirituality begins with no falsehood. We should not envy towards others, and we should be having no material pride. That is the beginning of spiritual education. So that is second symptom Krishna is saying. And third is, a devotee doesn't become cause of anxiety for others. Or nobody becomes anxiety for him. So that is his nature. So that is fourth. He is tolerant. Nobody can provoke him. And because they are true with what they are speaking, there is no need of pretending. There is nothing to hide or nothing to show off something which is not there. So that's why they will not have this propensity of duplicitous nature. And a spiritual seeker, he should find out some spiritual master and he should submit him, and then he should learn. So when we want to get cured of some diseases, then we have to follow some prohibitions, and we should take some medicine. So in Krishna consciousness, there is one prohibition and then there is one medicine. Of all scriptural injunctions, the prescription is Satatam Kirtam Vishnu Vismartavyam na Jatuchi. So always remember Krishna is a prescription. Never forget Krishna is a prohibition. And one should remain fixed in spiritual revealed scriptures, which are in bona fide sampradaya. Those scriptures we should try to read and learn. And devotee should not be interested in such a practices which will take him away from remembrance of the Lord. And one should accept more than required for maintenance of the body. One should not falsely identify himself with the gross material body, nor one should consider those who are related to his body to be his own. So he will realize himself as a servant of God, and he will realize others also as the servants of God. So with this spiritual relation, he will see with towards all living entities. And then he understands this material body is going to go through with these four things: birth, old age, disease, and death. And he will find out the best remedy to get out of this material identity. and one will be detached from his worldly possessions. His position is, what is his position? His position is devotion. That he is attached. Because worldly position is not going to help us. It's not going to help us. So the only position of devotee is his devotion towards Krishna. Then he will not attach to anybody in material terms. And he will be very equipoised. He will not get disturbed because his mind is fixed upon Krishna. So nothing can give him distress. So he will understand that he is a part and parcel of Krishna, Jivira Swarupa Krishna Hitadas. So he will try to serve the Supreme Lord with that rapt attention. And he will not be interested in worldly places where worldly congregation they come together, where worldly people congregate together, like a football or cinema halls or some beaches or some food malls or whatever. Such a worldly places where he will forget Krishna. He will not try to put himself in those places. Rather, he will remain with devotees, or he will choose secluded places where he can remember Krishna more. So his sthana. So Gita also Krishna tells na, Asthita pradnasya ka bhasha samajista keshava. So like that, these are the symptoms of devotees who are advanced in their service to Lord. And devotee will go deep in his spiritual studies, and he will not just sake of study he will study, but he will implement what he has studied in his life, and he will take those teachings as a practice of his sadhana, and he will dedicate himself towards the spiritual truth. So this is what Krishna concludes as 18 items of knowledge. So remaining thing we'll see on Thursday. Okay. So I'll take off. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki.
Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanyavad.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.